What is up, good people? Crypto Prepper here. Today is Thursday, February 26th, 2026. So today we are going to revisit setting up bots on ETH. And so it's been a little bit more than a month. Let's see. This last video I put out was 31, maybe it was 30, I don't know. It was January 21st, I think, around that. So it's been a little bit more than 30 days. Um, so the settings that I used on this ETH bot to get 40, yeah, here we go. 121 is when I started, 122 maybe. Um, when I recorded this video. So a little bit more than a month, and those results gave us a 43% APY. So what I did was I went ahead and set up our bot just like we did before, but I have it on USDC pair versus USD. There might be a little difference, but it's not going to be huge. So I've already got it set up. So we'll just go with that. So here I've got the initial investment at 1,000. Just like all of these bots, they need 1,000 to start out with, but you can actually scale these up as high as you want. But with the even the basic tier plan on this Bitscap trading software, um, you can set up 10 of these bots. So I don't recommend, and I don't recommend anything at all, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket and have everything in one bot. So I'm going to stagger between different pairs, different exchanges, and also different settings. So this is a perfect example where scaling in time-wise and setting-wise is going to be a good idea. If you've watched the previous videos, you've seen how I go into detail about that. But let's just compare ETH now versus ETH then, a month later. So I've got my initial base order set at 31.25 as always, and then the remaining for the averaging orders amount here is 968.75. So what that does is it will buy $31.25 worth of ETH right away, and then if it moves up and takes profit, you're going to get paid a buck 56. If it moves down, it's going to buy another $31.25, doubling your exposure and bringing your DCA down and your take profit down. So, and then you can see with the settings that each order line here doubles. So by the time you've purchased, the bot has purchased all the way down here, your DCA is right about here and your take profit is right about here. So our averaging orders quantity is set at 5. That gives us these 5 limit orders. And the averaging orders step percent is also 5. And that is the distance between these lines here, 5%. Okay, so and then the amount of multiplier, you will have to slide this all the way up to 2 to get this doubling effect. And then you can take a step multiplier all the way off. Our take profits price percent change is also 5. And that works pretty decent with the ETH also. Um, Pumped up protection under the risk management drop down, make sure that's toggled off. There are a couple times where it is more profitable to use that, but most of the time it's not. Okay, so now you can ignore this 16.53. I'll show you where I got that from earlier, or from here in a little bit. But I'm going to run a back test at 365 days with these settings. And these settings, um, a month ago, would have gotten us 43.37% return from the time period of 1/22/2025 to 1/21/2026. So now we fast forward a month, and you can see how I changed this before I flipped over to the other window. I changed this trading fee to 0.25 so that it matched the one in the video a month ago. So my volume has picked up on Coinbase and they've taken my trading fee down. So it's not 0.25 anymore, but I just want to do a more accurate comparison here. So you can see the timeline of February 27th, 2025 to February 26th, 2026. You're getting a 34%, 34.83% APY. But one thing that I try to minimize if possible when trying to find optimal settings is I try to have it so that the bot isn't fully vested. So right now, this bot is fully vested if you were to start it 365 days ago from today. And it's not making any more orders, and it's going to have to pop up to 2,700 before it takes profit again. So what I did, uh, actually, before we go further and talk about different settings you can use, like I talked about before, where you stagger your timing and the depth that your bot takes you down. But I want to see if I would have set up these settings uh, on the 21st um, of January. So let's see, 36 days ago, if I were to see any action. So with these settings, no, I would not. And sometimes this does change things if I update that. Let's see, nope. And this bot is fully vested. So you can see there's no more active orders set here. It's already purchased its full amount. And it didn't end up, let's see here. Where's that first buy at? Yeah, right here. So it got basically to break even right here. Didn't get 5% above for it to take profit. So that got me checking out some other settings that you could potentially stagger. So if I look at, this is going to be my current live bots. So I did set up some XRP bots using these similar settings 22 days ago exactly now, into 0 hours. And that happened to be right before the last dump that we saw. So you can see right here, February 4th, I set those up and they were able to completely capitalize on that dump and then the rip right back up. So, and then you can see they've done some action over the last few days, and this one in particular has already paid 11.4% bot profit. And this one, let's see what the bot settings are at. So here I experimenting with a little bit lower step percent instead of that 5. It's set at 3.5 here. And this one has really been loving it. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. What we're doing here is you're setting different step percent orders and staggering the depth of the bots that you where it will pick up and take profit too. So I know that sounds kind of confusing, but here I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about. So let's go back to bot settings, and if we look at the last 36 days and we try, so this is something you're going to be able to do even with a basic account, not 36, but 30. So let's actually do that, and you can kind of get an idea what it's going to look like on your end if you decide to go with that basic $29 a month a basic tier. The You can pay annually, and it's 23 bucks a month. And then when Black Friday rolls around again in November, they for the past 4 or 5 years they've had a Black Friday 50% off sale. So that's always a good opportunity to get that annual plan at a super nice discount. So anyway, let's click this to 30 like we did and see. what this setting will back to stat. So it's still showing zero return, and it is fully vested and will probably take profit at 22.87. So if we set that at step percentage at 7, you can see that distance here expanded and backtest a 30-day backtest on that. And I apologize if I forget to change this back to the previous trading fee, but it really doesn't matter. It's gonna have this set at whatever your current trading fee is when you get this set up and uh, paired in with the APIs to your account, to your exchanges. Okay, so that didn't produce anything. Then when I actually set this at 8, then in the last 30 days, that would have produced a 5.06% return, even at a 0.25% trading fee. That might be a little less, 4.76. So still, um, it was fully vested, and when once it, actually maybe, let's see here. So yeah, had the initial order here, and then it filled all those 5 limit orders here all the way down, caught that bottom, and then was able to capitalize on that little bounce that we saw February 6th. And scale looked a little bit bigger on uh, on XRP, but I guess yeah, I might just do a back test and look at the settings I used on that XRP bot. Anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Just gonna thinking out loud, and hopefully that's helpful for you, just hearing my thought process. So anyway, in the last 30 days, these settings would have produced a 4.76% gain on ETH. And then if you had those settings over the last 365 days, that is going to produce that 16 point whatever percent that you saw before. Uh, and that, so even saying if your trading fee is at 0.25, it's still going to be 15.25, which is better than any bank you're going to get, or in any bank. And also, it's most likely better than any staking platform that ETH has, because you're going to get paid maybe 8%, but you're going to get paid back in ETH. And so where you're getting paid 15% here and it's in USD, USDC, and you can do whatever you want with that 15%. You can reinvest it in the next bot. You can buy more ETH with it and hold on to it, whatever you want. So let's just for fun go back to that 22 days ago. Oh, that's January. I want February. So a little bit more than uh, I set them up on a Wednesday, but it said the 4th. So let's try the 4th. Um, there we go. That's what you want to see. Okay, so 22 days, and if I had a 3.5% step like I did on Bitcoin, let's see, or not Bitcoin, on XRP. So if you were to just happen to time that on ETH, like I did with XRP, and set it up right before a major capitulation, um, it's already produced 7.58%. That is pretty awesome. So I just happened to set those bots up right before the uh, the capitulation on the 5th, because I was watching Blockchain Backer and he was talking about how he was expecting a capitulation any day. And so a little bit of that was just luck, but really with these bots, you don't need luck. You just need a good strategy and stagger them based on averaging order step percent and also staggering them by time. Because when, uh, oops, sorry, I didn't warn you that I was switching over the screen because I thought it was a different one. But like I said, you can do all this on the basic plan. And if you're interested in getting started with this, you can look at the link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so it will support the channel, but it won't increase your cost any. And then you might originally, when you click onto that you're going to see it's already defaulted at this one where you pay annually. So anyway, so what I was going to talk about was, or what I was mentioning before I blinded you was um, staggering these bots so that they execute buys and sells at different prices. So you can see this one where it was 3.5% step percentage. It's now uh, going to be active down to a buck 21. This one is active down to a buck 18. And I don't really want to show you anymore because I'm already giving you more information I like to with these numbers here. You can figure out how much I have in these bots. Um, but like I said, you're going to have start out with 1,000. So and scale them up as much as you feel comfortable. So let's go back to let's check out Kraken and see what kind of return we can get on this. So the settings are the same. We start out with that $1,000 initial investment with that base order being 31.25, 968.75 as the averaging orders. And let's see if we check out that the 8 step percent like we had on Coinbase. Make sure our take profit in our risk management is the same and do that 30-day back test at first to see if we can get close to that about 5% in the last 30 days. And just like Coinbase, your trading fee on Kraken might be a little different, but I'm not going to try to stipulate what it might be. So, um, and then this one is just recently took profit on the pump on the nice little bounce we saw yesterday. So it now not just doesn't just have the $1,000 that you initially set up ready to rock again, but you have $49 in your pocket. Well, in your USDC stable wallet on Kraken. So, and let's do their 365-day backtest on these settings with this 8%. I think it's 8%. 18.28%. So that's a little bit better than the 15 that we saw on Coinbase. And looks like it really had a good time on this liquidation that we saw on the 10th. So nice activity. You don't go a whole long time, let's see, March 10th to April 5th. So you go almost a month without seeing any action here. And don't ask me what that means where it's flat. So this bot would be fully vested and you'd be up 18%. Let's do the 30-day back test on the settings that we did actually not quite 30 days. Let's do 22 days if you were happen to time that capitulation right. 7.53. So, and you've seen a lot of activity since then. So, maybe just like I've done with my live bots, and if you have one or two coins that you can stand behind, and if you do fall below this range, you're just going to be basically hodling them like you would any other, uh, most other strategies, non-trading strategies anyway. So you're going to want to do this with coins that you're confident are here for the long term, so you don't have to worry about it because the whole idea of these bots is to set these up let them run, set and forget for at least a year, and just let them do their thing. And then you every so often you check and pay yourself out of those stable wallets and set up new bots if you want. Do whatever you want with that money. So hopefully this was helpful and gives you an idea on how to move forward with your bot strategy. If you do, give me a thumbs up. That would be great. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite coin, leave it in the comments and I will run some 365-day backtest settings on a DCA bot setup on it for you. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.